Brent, we're here today to talk about a course that you and I are chairing in October in San Diego for AO North America HAND. And this is a course specifically designed for senior residents who are going into hand surgery fellowship, or those that have already matched into fellowship, and maybe even hand fellows as well. And I thought to promote this course, we would just kind of run through a case that illustrates some of the concepts that we will try to cover in this course coming up.
I think it sounds great. Going through a course will be the perfect way to find what we're trying to convey when you're starting out in your fellowship. And sometimes we've made mistakes that we can tell them because we have more gray hair than they do.
Yes, we do. All right, so here's a case I have for you that I took care of recently. This is a 62-year-old female who's actually a cardiothoracic surgical assistant at the hospital where I work. And a couple of years ago, she fell. She was 62 at the time and sustained this fracture of her left wrist. Any thoughts about management?
We know that there's numerous studies have been looked at as the quote older person. So the quicker you can get somebody moving, the better off they are. The two things that I think of with these type of things is making a good fist and then being able to supinate and pronate. And the quicker you get the bone fixed, the quicker you can do. In my hands, be a volar plate, get those fragments back together and get her moving.
For sure. Well, I agreed with all of those thoughts and indicated her for surgery. And as you suggested, we used a volar locking plate fixation plan. And overall, I was pretty happy with how this came together. And clinically, I thought that the stability of our construct was good at time zero. However, things happen, right? And so here she is 4 weeks post-operatively, has lost her reduction, lost her radial height, lost her volar tilt, and now she's in, and you can see that she's got this sort of abundant callus formation, so her body's trying to heal this in this position. You do anything different? Here you can see what my plan was, that we were going to observe and just let it heal.
I think that's the smart answer. Having a malunion after the fact is a lot easier to take care of than trying to put little chiclets together, especially with her osteoporosis.
Right. So she was in agreement with the plan, wasn't all that eager to go back to the operating room, and we put her in a cast for another couple of weeks. And here she is now 8 weeks post-op, 4 weeks later. But I thought that there was pretty good evidence of fracture consolidation on these images of what we see here. But we did do an ulnar shortening osteotomy. We shortened her 6 millimeters and thought we leveled out her joint pretty well. And here she is 3 months later. And 3 months after this x-ray, she's 6 months after her shortening procedure, she's back at work in the operating room and overall pretty happy. However, the story never ends when you want it to end. So 2 years later, just this April, she showed back up into my clinic, had no office visits, no complaints in the interval time frame, still working, but all of a sudden lost her ability to flex her thumb IP joint. Now she's got this prominent plate, Song 3 on that classification system. And she wants a procedure that will provide predictable recovery with minimal loss of grip strength. So now, what do you think we ought to do?
Well, the grip strength's easy. I think you could go in there, take the plate out. You're probably going to have a little irritation of the index finger. So she'll get her grip strength back. As far as getting her IP of her thumb, which is always difficult, you can consider a fusion. But most of the people want to try to get some type of IP motion to be able to pinch, especially if you're working in the OR. They're tough to do. And the only way to do it is to do a transfer in my hands.
Here we talked about some of the Song criteria: increased risk of flexor tendon rupture and need for implant removal with increased Song class. We did a middle finger FDS to her FPL, and we removed the radius plate and the ulnar osteotomy plate since we were there anyway.
If you look at this case from the initial, with that osteoporosis, not all of your pegs are, subchondral, and sometimes you can't get them that way. So yeah. I'm convinced the osteoporosis is what allowed the thing to settle.
So I think a lot of good concepts here, and these are all some of the things that we will go over in our course in San Diego. Registration's open. Go onto the AO website. You can find the information there. We've got a great faculty, a great course with cadavers and lectures and small group discussions, both a lot of clinical stuff, but then also just preparation for fellowship and preparation for early practice.
Sounds great. It's going to be a fun course.
All right, Brent, thanks for joining me here. Join us in San Diego in October. It's going to be a great course, lots of fun, lots of learning, and lots of memories.
Hopefully we'll see everybody there.